From 622 to 632 CE, the Islamic world under Muhammad consisted of a large part of the Arabian Peninsula. This is where Islam began.
The western expansion of Islam started in 634, when Muslim armies conquered Syria and Palestine, splitting the Byzantine Empire in half. Obstacles such as the Taurus Mountains and the concentrated military strength made advancing on the northern half of the Byzantine Empire risky. Egypt, on the other hand, was cut off from reinforcements, very promising of booty. In 639, Islamic soldiers began to conquer towns and villages of the eastern Nile Delta, and eventually reaching Alexandria in 642. The siege lasted for months, and resulted in Alexandria surrendering to the Muslims. This victory opened up Africa to Islam, and within 5 years they had conquered all along the coastal rim of West Alexandria. The Egyptians happily accepted the newly introduced religion of Islam and adopted Arabic because they found its teachings to be simpler than Christianity. In addition, Egypt also accepted Islam because the Muslims had a less bureaucratic tax system than the one previously established by the Byzantine. After moving into Egypt, the Islamic Empire gained territory so fast that the internal affairs, such as struggling for power and civil uprisings, developed, putting westward expansion on hold.
Islamic people and ideas penetrated southward along the east coast of Africa through trade channels. Through these well-established routes, Islam advanced peacefully. The southern extent of Islamic influence on the east coast of Africa was restricted by natural conditions and by sailing technology. Islamic traders and settlers confined themselves to the coastal cities and islands. Gradually, the peoples of the east coast of Africa adopted the faith of these influential foreigners, and by the 1300s the culture of the area was primarily Islamic. The Muslims and their religion did not penetrate inland from the coastal trade cities. Instead, Islam was carried to parts of the interior of Africa by Muslim traders following the land routes from Egypt. The Sudan had developed a strong civilization and political system long before the rise of Islam. After the rise of Islam, more and more Muslim traders took part in the active commerce along the pre-existing routes. There was neither conversion nor conquest in these early centuries. Bit by bit, however, the Muslims took over the government of the Sudanese states. By the 1200s, they had political control of the Sudan. From there, they tried to extend power by conquering their neighbors to the south, but were halted by physical conditions. The camels and horses on which their cavalry depended could not survive in the savannas. The people in Nubia and Ethiopia held out against Muslim pressure for several centuries. This area had traded both by land and sea with the Arabian Peninsula long before Islam arose. Christian kingdoms survived until the 1300s, when the Nubian area finally succumbed to Muslim pressure. Submission came only after 800 years of battles had weakened their state. Even then, Islam was slow to take root, for the people already had a religion which satisfied them.
In Spain, there was a lot of fighting between the Muslims and the Christians. By 750, Islam dominated almost all of Spain except the northwestern part, which was under the control of the Christians. However, by 1100, the Christians fought back and gained control of 1/4 of the peninsula. By 1250, all of Spain was controlled by the Christians except a small strip along the Mediterranean. The Muslims moved their capital to Granada and survived there for 250 years under the strict rule and tax from the Christians. This small Islamic part of Spain was destroyed in 1492 by Christian forces under Ferdinand and Isabella. Muslims were allowed to stay in Spain under their own religion and law, but not for long. In 1499, Spaniards forced Christianity upon Muslims, and after more than a century, all the Muslims that didn't convert were expelled from the country in 1609. They later moved down into North Africa where Islam was dominant. During the 800 years of Spain, the Muslims created the greatest civilization in Europe, which had advanced agriculture, trading, architecture, and craftsmanship.
Wherever it went, Islam had a huge effect. Egypt and North Africa accepted the religion and have many people that still are Islamic. Even though Spain expelled the Muslims and their religion, it had a huge impact on the culture and the people. Overall, Islam was a large unifying factor for this Western world, and it forever changed Africa and Spain.